What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Bro Tech Gaming Podcast. Sorry we missed last week. We had a lot of stuff going on. Wasn't really a whole lot to talk about. I mean, it was Super Bowl weekend, right? Was it Super Bowl weekend? That was the
No.
weekend before.
Yeah, we missed the Valentine's Day weekend.
Oh, it was the Valentine's Day week. Yeah, so we were busy doing Valentine's Day stuff, but we're here now. We're here today. We got some stuff to talk about. So let's get into it.
So what movie did we watch on Valentine's Day?
Oh my god, bro. We watched Joker. Dude.
Yeah, Joker 2.
Okay, that movie was really bad. It was really bad. And it's not because of the musical thing. Like, I like musicals. Like, I don't hate musicals, but as long as the music is memorable, bro, like the music wasn't even that good.
I don't even think that music was made for that movie. They just picked already made music and just put it in the movie.
Yeah, man, it was not a good movie. It was a terrible movie. And I don't like saying that because I was actually kind of like, you know what? I like Lady Gaga. I think she's actually good. She was probably actually the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
don't know.
she's
I don't know.
naturally like a singer and a dancer, so she kind of carried those parts, and then Joaquin Phoenix kind of carried the acting part. But honestly, man, like nothing really happened in that movie. It was just him. It was just them talking about the last movie, and then they would break into sing and dance, and then it was just like a court scene for like an hour.
It feels weird even calling it a comic book movie because, like, I was okay with the first movie because it was like a little like intrigue, it's like, oh, this is like a different take on the Joker origin story. But the second movie really did nothing with that at all, just to leave it ending the way that it ended. It just really left me feeling sort of empty,
Yeah, I mean the movie's been out for a while, so I don't think we have to put spoilers. But I feel like the movie could have ended better because he just died.
Yeah, there was really no point to his character. Yeah, so I think I give that movie like a 5 out of 10.
I would give it a solid 5.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny because I forgot everything that happened that weekend. So we watched that on Valentine's Day. I actually decided to start watching The Ones Who Live because it was on Netflix, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't need to finish The Walking Dead, so I'm just gonna start this. And I actually binged the entire series, which was only like, it was only 6 episodes. Right?
Yeah, it was like a limited mini series.
Yeah, so I finished it and I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. The end did feel kind of rushed, but I feel like they still at least kind of like buttoned everything up. I think I just enjoy The Walking Dead when we have Rick and Michonne in The Walking Dead, and I think that's the only reason why I like it. Like, I like that miniseries more than so far like the last 3 seasons I've been grinding of The Walking Dead. So I give it like I think I want to give it like a 7.5 out of 10, almost an 8, but it's only because everything sort of felt a little bit rushed toward the end of it, and there were a lot of characters where I didn't really understand their motivations, But overall, I think I just liked it because I just like Rick and Michonne. Like, to me, they kind of made the show.
Yeah, they're a true like dynamic couple.
They can do anything.
It seems like it. They make it seem like they can do anything. Like they're invincible when they're together.
They're just like straight up fucking with Rick. Just like, how come you never tried to stop me? It's because I knew you couldn't escape. But it's like, but with the two of you, you can do anything. It's like, well, get the fuck out of here then.
And then guess what? They did it. Yeah, the one thing that I didn't like about that series was him cutting his hand off like at the beginning. Because he tries to escape, he cuts his hand off, and then he gets caught, and then like that's it. He never tries to escape again. It's like,
yeah, it was kind of for nothing, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of what they were trying to emphasize, because it was always a reminder of how, it doesn't matter what he does, like, he's never going to escape. And like seeing his hand was always like a reminder of like, well, there's no reason in me trying. Like, why try? Like, look what happened to me. So I think I get the symbolism behind it. I thought it was just wild that they went with full Assassin's Creed on his prosthetic with like the shing like it's like, all right,
Yeah,
I guess that's cool, you know.
yeah, it
Sometimes I
was kind
forgot that he
of,
had one hand.
yeah, it was kind of like Daryl's brother. Can't
Oh,
remember his
Merle.
name. Yeah,
Merle.
Merle.
Yeah.
So like Merle had that because he got his hand cut off in like the second episode of the series, and he was
Yeah.
kind of doing that.
Well, also, what's his name?
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah, it was the same.
Yeah, Aaron would switch it up between I think like a knife and like that ball that he had on there, like a spiked ball or something.
Yeah, it was like a mace or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, it was cool. Just a little side thing. I did binge it and I did like it. So, also, since we're like on the topic of shit I'm getting updated on, I also beat Ragnarok like 3 or 4 days ago. So I'm like done with that game now. Um,
Is it worth it for me to finish?
I don't know, man. It depends on what part of the game you're in. Where are you in the game?
I feel like I have to be a little bit more than 50% done.
Do you remember where you are in the story?
I just left Odin's world and I'm playing as Kratos again.
Okay, so you're probably like 70% then. There's definitely a part of the game that felt like it just fucking chugged, right? And like all the parts where you play as Atreus throughout some of the scenes, you kind of like forget the shit that you're doing. You forget the motivations behind you in Kratos. There is a part in the game though where it just like picks up momentum. So I think that you definitely still need to beat the game because it's God of War, but you just gotta grind through it, man. I always felt like I wanted to go back and do the side missions, but there's almost no point to doing it right now because when you beat the game, there's more side missions that open up anyways. So like if you want to be a completionist, just beat the game. And then if that's what you want to do, then do it. I think that's what I got caught up on is I was like always trying to I was getting sidetracked a lot by trying to do like side missions in between the story. But once I found out that there's more side missions that only open once you beat the game, it's like, well, fuck, I could have just done that later on anyways. So that would be probably my advice. Just beat it if you want to beat it. But you've still probably got like 6 hours of game to play, bro. To be
It's
honest,
not it's not that bad.
that's just if you push. That's just if you push through it and grind.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to the first one. I feel like the first one did it better just because you know, like when you're on that lake, you can kind of figure out where you want to go, and even on that lake there's like little mini bosses that you can fight,
Yeah.
and once you beat them it feels so satisfying. And then you know you have the Valkyries at the end, which was like super satisfying when you beat, because I spent hours playing those Valkyries, and it's just getting that timing down, just to parry like just right.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a lot of that to enjoy in Ragnarok. I think the problem with it was for me it was the pacing of the story in the game. And I didn't realize this, but so they were supposed to make that story like between God of War and Ragnarok, it was supposed to be a trilogy. And they decided not to make it a trilogy and they just gave you everything in the second game, which is why there's so many like breaks in the pacing between playing as Kratos and then playing as Atreus, and you kind of forget like what direction the storyline's going in because they throw so much shit at you so much. So it feels like you're playing two different games. And I don't know if you ever got that vibe from playing it up till now. Um, there's parts of the game that like open up and it's literally like an entire new maps in the game that like are technically side missions, but you can spend like 6 hours in these areas just doing the side missions. So I feel like they were trying to cram way too much in just to complete the game, and it really for me threw off the pacing. And the combat is really good, but it's also really brutal for the sake of being brutal, because you end up fighting enemies later on in the game that used to be bosses in the earlier part of the game. So like the bosses become regular enemies, and it's just like, okay, I'm the fucking God of War, dude. Like, why am I struggling with regular ass people at this point, and it just really like never lets off that, um, that pace all the way to the end of the game. So it was almost like hard for me to complete, which is why I don't think I'm gonna do the 100%. I don't think I can do it. I think I got my fill just trying to do what I did the last like several days. And I think I'm gonna delete it from my. I'm gonna get my 86 gigs back from my hard drive, and I think I'm gonna start another game, playing something else.
All right. Yeah, I need to finish it, man. I need to get it over with. I've been procrastinating for like what, like 2 3 years since it came out already.
Yeah, it's been over two. It's easily been over two. It's crazy too because I think it came out on my birthday. And I'm just like, fuck, bro. I've literally been playing this game for 2 years now. I think you just need to just do it. You just need to sit down and grind because you do get to a point in the game in the story where it kind of like tilts and then it's just full momentum again. Like it just goes like boom, boom, boom onto the next. That's when it feels really good. Like it feels like God of War again. But you're gonna have to put a couple or a few hours into it before you get to that tipping point. But you'll know though. I feel like you'll know when it gets there. I
For
mean, it's still
sure.
good though. Like I'm still satisfied with the game. Um, I think I just wanted a little bit more out of it because the first game was so good. It was like a masterpiece. And not that the second game was bad. It just didn't live up to my expectations because I think they just tried to throw too much at you, you know?
Yeah, I kind of fell into that God of War like trap because when you play the originals, and you play like the whole game, he kind of like gets an armor or something at the end of the game, and then at the start of the next game, he gets it like stripped away, and you got to work to like get it over again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what they did on this game, because when you do complete 100% on the last game, you get like this badass armor that he has, and then when you start this game, it's just gone. Like
Yeah.
I would have really liked it to connect it and to bring whatever you had in the last one in the next one, and then like maybe even like nerf it a little bit so it's not like how it is in the first game. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. It's just gone, no explanation.
At least you got to keep the Blades of Chaos though. Like you didn't have to rediscover that, which was probably like the best part of the first game. But
Yeah, yeah, I think people would have been mad if you didn't have them.
I was like, I don't want to spoil it, but like I was kind of waiting for that kind of moment to happen in Ragnarok, like the moment of like when you find the Blades of Chaos. Like that was such an epic moment, and I'm sad to say that Ragnarok didn't have a moment like that for me. So I don't know, maybe you'll feel different because there's still a lot of stuff that needs to happen in your playthrough. I just didn't find that moment uh, up until the end. So moving on from God of War.
Yeah, I mean there were parts when I played, I got so frustrated that I just YouTubed on how to get like past a puzzle. I was just like, man, like I'm too old to be dealing with this shit. Just show me how to get past this. I've been
Yeah,
stuck here for like a half hour. It's not worth it.
need to get you those strategy guides.
That would be tight.
I still have a bunch of my old ones, dude. They're like
They're,
collectibles now.
yeah, they're probably worth something. I don't even think they make those
I
anymore.
don't think they're worth shit, to be honest. But it's nice to have. They're nice to have. All right. Anyways, that's all my life updates. I haven't done much except game and watch shows, so we can move on from that if you want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so work for me, it's been like really busy, man. Like I come home like actually tired. It's just crazy. It's like a new feeling for me.
Nice. That's what the grind feels like. That's what making money feels like.
I know. It's a long way from Virgin, man. Like clocking into work and just watching movies and YouTube and going to the break room and doing the same thing, and then going back to my desk and watching more YouTube, man. Like I miss it, but it wasn't really like it wasn't helping me get better at anything at my job. So right now, like I'm learning a whole bunch, man. Like they're teaching me like different departments, and I like it. I like the feeling of being busy and people relying on me to get stuff done.
That's cool. I mean, it sounds like you're getting fulfillment out of it, which is always good. I mean, even if the job is more work, I think it's important to always feel like you're fulfilling something. Because it's like, yeah, it's nice to get paid to do nothing, essentially, but it kind of feels empty, you know? Like, I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. Like, I want to feel like I'm putting in my worth. And I think that's because I'm just getting older now. Like, if I was younger, I'd be like, fuck yeah, man, pay me. Pay me. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't want to do nothing, but I kind of want to feel like I'm fulfilling something, you know? It makes me feel like I'm still relevant because I'm getting old, bro. I'm 41 now, and it's just like, damn, like all these young kids, like scooping up all these like AI jobs and all that stuff now, and it's just like I'm trying to stay busy, dude. You know?
Yeah, the iPad kids, man. It's just
Yeah,
technology is just secondhand to them.
taking over, bro.
Yep. All right. So moving on, we can move into some sports. I know you text me with some news from your Yankees.
So I'm gonna call it now. Yankees are gonna be in the World Series this year because now they are allowed to grow facial hair. Ayo. With some caveats though. So I mean, they're allowed to grow a beard, but it has to be like a clean kept beard. So nothing like scraggly waggly. They'll have to keep it sort of like tailored and tapered. But now they can grow facial hair. So I don't know. Maybe they'll play better. Maybe we'll be able to compete with the Doyers this year. Maybe more teams, maybe more players are gonna want to come to New York now because like, oh hell yeah, like I can keep my facial hair now.
You know what's funny is I think it was last year. You got one of our pitchers. His name was Bickford,
Okay.
and so he had long hair. He had a beard, and he went to the Yankees. So he had to cut his hair, shave, like clean shave his beard, and he looked weird. Like
Yeah.
I wasn't used to seeing him like that. Dude played on the team for 5 days and got cut.
Yeah.
So like shaving all that was for nothing.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
I'm sure
so.
he was pissed.
Maybe so. But at the same time, it's just like maybe the Yankees are kind of realizing too that like old-fashioned ways, players nowadays they want to be able to express themselves. And if they can express themselves, they play better because they feel better about themselves too. It's not like I'm sure like back in the day it was a lot more about tradition for sure. And going to a club like the Yankees really did mean something back then. Not to say that it's still not an important thing. Like, yeah, historically it's still important, but I mean, players are just trying to get paid nowadays, and it's just like you can't build like legacy teams anymore that care about tradition. Like, you need to build players that like want to be motivated to play for you because they're trying to get paid. Like, look at Soto, bro. Like, Soto jumped at just like a few $1 million more than what the Yankees offered him. So like players don't give a fuck about tradition. They don't give a fuck about loyalty. So yeah, man, like don't make the dress code policy or the facial hair policy so strict because players don't care about that tradition anymore. I think we're kind of moving on from that now, you know. Now you got to build an all-star team. You got to give them incentives.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, man, like I feel like the Yankees are still going to be really good this upcoming year. Even losing Soto, I know he was like a very strong key piece in your lineup, but I feel like other people are gonna pick up the slack. So that the haircut rule, man, that was 49 years, almost 50 years,
Yeah.
like ingrained in that
Crazy
in that
tradition, bro.
franchise.
I mean, they were allowed to have mustaches though. It's not like they couldn't have facial hair. They could have a mustache, but now it's like you can have a beard now. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of people look good with just a mustache.
Yeah, we did win our first game though. Spring training game 4-0. So
Nice.
we
Yeah.
look
So
good.
speaking about spring training, so Bobby Miller, the pitcher from the Dodgers, he actually got hit in the head with a comebacker. He got hit like right here on his forehead, and it looked really bad. Like right when he got hit, like the ball like ricocheted like far, so that ball got hit hard.
That sucks.
He fell to the ground. He was like clutching his head, and then he kind of got on his knees and stood up, and he was able to walk off on his own power. They put him in concussion protocol. They said he didn't have a fracture, so he's just in concussion protocol and he should be fine.
That's crazy though for like opening day, like spring training, not even opening day. It's just like to get injured like that off the bat, dude. It's just like sports are crazy, man. Sports are so crazy.
Yeah, that's what I think about, man. Like we've lost a couple people, not a couple, like over the past couple years, there's been like an injury here, an injury there, but it's always the pitchers. Like I don't know if they're overextending themselves, to try to get like a bump up in the rotation or something, man. But like it sucks to see somebody get hurt in spring training and then be out, from opening day just because they got hurt in spring training when it's just supposed to be like, getting the feel back, and then it kind of pushes them back even more into the season because they'll be out like a month or two and everybody else is, mid-season form and they're kind of just going through their spring training, and it messes up their numbers a lot too. So hate to see it.
Well, now they're gonna just make fielders wear helmets from now on. So
They should.
you gotta protect the players.
They have, well, maybe not helmets, but they have those padded hats where it looks like a big old fat hat that you're wearing.
Yeah. It's like the Guardian helmets from the NFL.
Yeah.
They make bump caps that look like actual baseball caps.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if they start like messing around with like padded hats or something in spring training, like just for spring training.
Yeah, maybe it's like y'all got to protect your investments at the end of the day.
All right, so staying in sports, so the Chiefs, as we all know, lost the Super Bowl by a lot. Yeah, no tears over here.
Nah, that was a horrible ass game. Like, I mean, in a sense that it wasn't competitive at all, but I think a lot of people were happy to see the Chiefs lose.
Yeah, they scored a bunch of points in garbage time, but it didn't mean anything.
No, it really didn't. Really meant nothing at all. Everybody was booing Taylor Swift.
Dude, I saw that video. They showed her and everyone started booing and she's kind of looking around like, what the
You're
fuck?
like, what did I do? It's like, welcome to sports.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it took that long for her to realize that like sports people don't like her.
Well, that's what happens when your like team is losing instead of winning, though. Like, she's only been on the winning side for the last couple years, so this is what it's like. Welcome. Let's see if she hangs. Let's see how long she hangs with the Kelsey bros.
Yeah, I really feel like Kelsey was gonna propose at the end of that game if they won, and that just got fucked up, which I was happy about.
Conspiracy, all conspiracies. Yeah. So you were telling me about your theory on why the Chiefs lost.
Yeah, so my theory, I'm sure a lot of people have the same theory, but during the like media day before the Super Bowl, a reporter had asked the commissioner, if he feels that the Chiefs are getting a lot of calls from the referees favoring them, and the commissioner was just like, no, like that's absurd, like why would you even bring that up, blah 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 blah, trying to save face. So I feel like what he did was he told the referees like, hey, just call a clean game. I don't want people accusing the NFL of like favoritism, which I think they were anyways, but he's just kind of trying to save face right now. And
Yeah.
we all saw what happened with no flags flying out from Mahomes.
Dude, what's crazy to me is that like he took some crazy ass hits. He took some hits that questionably could have been considered late hits that he always gets a flag for. So I'm not gonna sit here and think like, oh, it's a conspiracy or whatever. Like, I truly believe that there was a lot of favoritism going into the Chiefs games, and I think it's fucking criminal for the NFL not to be transparent about it. When you have like a game like the Super Bowl, when you're like millions and millions of people are watching, you got like Mahomes literally getting creamed up and down the field, knowing damn well that regular season those would have been calls for roughing the passer, 100%. So I don't know, dude. It kind of leaves a like a sour taste in my mouth about the NFL. It's just I don't know what they need to do, man. They need to do something about it, because whether or not you want to consider it favoritism, there's definitely something like off about the way certain games are officiated. And there's a lot of money on the line, man. Like, even the referees, like, if you don't think they're getting like any kind of bribes, or if there's something in it for them, just from like the bookies and stuff like that, there's tons of influence that happen throughout the NFL, especially where we are with things like fantasy football and DraftKings and like all these other sort of like gambling sites that promote football games, dude. Like, people are getting paid out. Like, it might not be a lot in the grand scheme, like it might be pennies in comparison to how much money the NFL actually makes, but those pennies equate to like hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, for people that are working the system. So that was a lot, but I think there's something there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So with that, I like, in my personal belief, I think that the Chiefs are gonna start to crumble now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like being on the outside, you see the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row, getting all these calls, everything going their way. It kind of, like if I was on the outside before the Super Bowl, I'd be like, yeah, like Chiefs is the team to go to. You want like a free ride to the Super Bowl, you want like playoff wins
mhm,
to get those bonuses, like that's the place to go. But I think now, seeing that the NFL is aware that people are accusing them of favoritism, I think players might stay away from the Chiefs. They might even lose players that are already on there, like free agents. They don't re-sign.
very good point.
So I kind of feel like the Chiefs are going to crumble next year.
I think the reason why they're going to start crumbling is honestly because of their like age curve. Like I feel like, I mean, yeah, they've been to like quite a few Super Bowls now, and they've won 3 Super Bowls, but I feel like it still kind of took them a long time to get there. Like if you want to compare Mahomes to Tom Brady, the difference with Brady and Mahomes was that Brady was winning games way earlier in his career. And I know Mahomes is still kind of like middle of the road in his career, but he's definitely not a rookie anymore. Like we've had Mahomes for what, like 6 seasons now, I think, going on like 6 or 7, 6 seasons, 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's kind of already at like the midpoint of his career, and because of the way he plays, like he's a very like physically, he's a very physical player compared to Tom Brady. Tom Brady had a lot of protection. He was able to like air it out. He was able to like avoid a lot of like rushes and a lot of like pressures. Whereas like Mahomes, he's always scrambling. He can't really throw the ball very well. Like he actually has a really shitty release when he's scrambling because he always throws into the dirt. I just don't think his body will age quite as gracefully as like Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady was able to stay healthy all the time. And I feel like Mahomes, because of the way he plays, he's not going to last as long health wise. And I think the Chiefs are also like a very old team. Like they're going to start losing players. Like they've got player like Kelsey is in retirement age in the NFL. Like he's probably been ready to retire for at least the last 2 or 3 years now. And there's not a lot of other players on the team that are young that can sort of like carry the momentum of like those skill positions. Whereas like the Patriots, I feel like we're able to do it for a very long time.
Yeah, you also got Pacheco. Pacheco came back from injury like a couple games before the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had him on fantasy, and I kept him even though he got hurt at the beginning
Yeah.
of the season. I kept him, and then I really had high confidence that he was gonna like push my team through, and he didn't do shit.
Well, he wasn't even really that dynamic the season before, though. Like, I feel like Pacheco is just a good running back, but he's not the kind of running back that's gonna like carry your team. He's not like how Josh Jacobs was on the Packers this year, or he's not like a Saquon Barkley, or he's not like a Derrick Henry. Like, those are the caliber of running backs or players you need to keep like moving your team forward. I just don't feel like the Chiefs have anyone in that skill position because besides Mahomes and Kelsey, you really don't have players. Like they got DeAndre Hopkins. like like that was a big deal for them to get Hopkins, and that dude's basically retired now. So I just don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to compete at a high level next year. I see them as kind of like the Steelers when the Steelers were sort of on their decline. You know.
Yeah, fucking Antonio Brown, man.
Yeah, Roethlisberger.
I just
Roethlisberger.
I was happy that the Raiders got Antonio Brown, and then he didn't even play one down, dude. He left in like spring training, not spring training, but like preseason.
Yeah.
Because the reason that he left was because he couldn't practice because he burnt his feet, so his feet were peeling. I think it was like a sauna or like the sunbathing, the like a tanning salon or whatever. He burnt his feet, so he couldn't play.
That's weird.
And then like one thing led to another, and he left.
I just don't like having those high profile players like on a football team. I feel like it's bad for the team's like look. It's bad for the PR. I don't know, man. You need players that just want to come and play. Like they don't care about all that stuff, you know. You need people that want to come and be leaders, and not just because they have like a high skill level. Like they need to have the mindset too.
Yeah, his mind was already on the way out.
Mm.
'Cause I think that was the same year that he went to the Buccaneers and he like left like mid-season. I
Yeah,
want to say
didn't he
that
just
was the
walk off
same
the
year.
field? Is that the season he walked off the field?
I think so. Like he took off his jersey and everything and threw it in the crowd and just like FU to everybody and left.
I remember that. That was wild, man. That was wild. Well, I mean, we got a long time before the next football season, so we'll see.
Yep.
Time for players to get healthy.
Right around the corner.
And right now we're in baseball season.
Yeah, I'm excited for baseball, man.
I'll try to be excited for baseball. I'll be better
Man,
this year.
you should try it. Try like listening to podcasts about your team. Like what's his name? John Boy. John Boy is a Yankees fan, so they do a lot of podcasts about the Yankees. Like I even listen to it, and I'm not a Yankees fan. It's just they have good dynamic on their podcast. Like it's fun to listen to.
All right, I will commit this year to my Yankees because it's now that I made it known that I'm a Yankees fan from the World Series. It's like, all right, I got to represent this year, so no excuses.
All right, it's a long season, so
I
you
know.
gotta be down for it.
I know. You got to help me through it.
I will, because I'm gonna be right there.
I got my Twitter updates.
Yeah, so moving on. So I went to go watch Captain America with Karen, and so we made the reel on Instagram talking about how the Hulk was just gonna come out like in the last like 10 seconds of the movie. So it wasn't the last 10 seconds. I was about 5 minutes off.
That's what I heard, bro.
And so yeah, so the movie initially, like I thought it was okay. Like it wasn't bad, but it wasn't, you know, like Infinity War Endgame type level. Not even like Winter Soldier. Like all those past Captain America movies are so good. Like I've actually been watching a lot of the Marvel movies, like Avengers, and I watched all these movies out of order. So I watched, my favorite one was Infinity War, and then I watched Endgame, and then I watched Age of Ultron. And like they're just good, man. Like through the whole movie it was good. This one, Captain America, it went through a lot of reshoots, so there's scenes that you can tell that are just like CGI background. There's a lot of scenes that don't make sense. Like I don't want to spoil too much because I know a lot of people haven't watched it yet, and I want you to see it and have your own take on it.
Yeah, I'll still watch it eventually.
Yeah, but there's some scenes that just didn't make sense to me. So there's just like a small spoiler, but there is a scene where the bad guy has the good guy pretty much like dead to rights and can get rid of him, but he decides to do like this James Bond thing where like other people come in and then like he leaves for them to take care of the job, and like obviously he's not gonna take care of the job. So like I saw that and I was just like, bro, you had it. Like like the whole movie is based on you not letting this guy like ruin your plans, and like how are you just gonna walk off? Like it didn't make sense. And then at the end, you know, like the Red Hulk comes out. I mean, that's not a spoiler because it was on all the posters, it was in the trailers. And so from what I've heard and watched on you know, like breakdowns of the movies, that so they did reshoots, and at one point they were gonna have the Red Hulk as a surprise ending. You know, nobody was supposed to know that he was supposed to come out, but I think because the original Thaddeus Ross passed away, the original actor passed away a couple years ago, and then they had Harrison Ford come in, I think that kind of really changed the plans on promotion wise.
Oh, sure.
So, you know, they wanted Harrison Ford to have a bigger role, and you know, the Red Hulk was it. So I feel like they really you know, amped it up. So I don't think it killed the movie. I feel like that surprise would have been cool, but the internet would have spoiled it in like 5 minutes, you know. So it wasn't like the Infinity War, like at the end when everyone dusted and everyone's trying to like hold that in. But you know, I even seen spoilers of that, and I watched the movie like the second day it came out. So you know, a spoiler like him becoming the Red Hulk, like it would have been like even sooner.
So, I mean, because obviously I haven't seen it yet. I don't know any of the plot points because I tried to stay away from it. Are there any like story threads in the movie that still make the rest of the cinematic universe relevant? Is it more kind of standalone, isolated, or does it still kind of have like threads with like the other shit that's happening in the universe?
Not currently happening, but it does bring like the Eternals, where they had the Celestial come out of the ocean. They talk about that was like a big plot in the movie.
Mm.
And so you can kind of think of this movie as a sequel to the Hulk, the one with Edward Norton,
Oh, I see. Okay.
but
Well,
with Captain America in it. So
that kind of
it,
sucks in a weird way because they don't even admit like that version of the Hulk to be canon anymore. So it's kind of weird to like tie that thread from a movie that was like 15 years ago or
yeah, I
something
think it
like
was
that.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So they actually have that as canon because like Thaddeus Ross was in that movie. Um the what was the other Hulk that he not it wasn't the Abomination. So you know how
Combination.
like the Abomination came out in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
So there's still it is canon, and they're just kind of tying up loose ends from that movie.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah,
I
so
gotcha. Okay.
and then
So,
so yeah, so they have the end credit scene, which I would say it's not worth waiting because it's literally at the end after all the credits, like literally at the end. And it was so stupid. It had no point to it. I kind of got mad when I watched it, but that was my take. I don't want to spoil that for you.
okay. So overall rating out of 10,
Out of
unbiased.
10, uh I would have to give it like a 6.5.
Oh, point 0.5. Okay,
Yeah,
that's not a complete loss.
no, it's worth watching. Just don't have high expectations for it.
Okay. Is it better than Eternals?
Yes, better than Eternals. Way better than She-Hulk, obviously.
Where
Even
would you
that's
put
the
it?
show.
Like, where would you put it? Like currently with the movies, like, would you put it somewhere like in the middle of like the worst and the best movies so far in like the current phase?
Yeah, I would put it in the middle. Like, it's not a bad movie. It is the worst Captain America movie,
Yeah.
but it's not the worst Marvel movie because there was
Okay.
some cool action scenes on there.
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind. There will be a bootleg available, I'm assuming very soon on Plex that I will be able to watch. So I will wait. I will wait for that bootleg and then I will watch the movie
Yeah, I think the
because I'm
movie's
not
only 2 hours
I'm not
long.
spending money on that movie.
Yeah, it's only 2 hours long, so it's not a like a typical 3 hour Marvel movie.
All right. All right. So this kind of leads you to your next topic, which is like what's next for Marvel.
Yeah, judging from the end credit scene, it was kind of like a no shit kind of like that was my comment at the end when I seen it
Yeah.
because it was just like so bland of a scene. So I think they're done with like the past Hulk. I think they're gonna move into like the new Hulk with his son. They
Okay.
showed on She-Hulk where his son just popped out of nowhere,
Yeah.
which still horrible, man. There's no like background storyline on that. It's just like, oh hey, like I have a son. Like I guess when he was on that planet fighting Thor, like he hooked up with somebody like in Thor form or something. I don't
They
know.
never really explained that from like the She-Hulk show, which is like that's kind of the problem right now with the current universe, and like it's just a sort of side tangent, but there's so many like different storylines that they've started. Like the first phases did so good because everything just kind of moved in one direction, and then they were all just sort of like everything connected on the way. It was like a branching tree, you know? But like now, like we don't have that. We just have like different things being planted everywhere. and like we don't know how any of them relate. We don't know how any of them connect to each other. We just have like all of these random ass storylines just like out there in the cinematic universe. And like I don't know what any of it means. Like they have so many movies and shows with loose ends right now that I don't know where those loose ends go.
Yeah, so starting from Iron Man, when they had like all the end credit scenes, it was kind of like recruiting other Avengers,
Mhm,
like to come together to fight a common foe, which was Thanos.
mhm.
So like all those movies connected because they were all fighting for the same thing. And then once Endgame finishes, it's kind of like like what do we do now? Like they stagger these like bosses that come in and they take care of them. And then it's like, okay, now what? Like they
Yeah.
don't have like that main boss, like that final boss anymore.
Mhm.
Which I think they did with what was the guy from Ant-Man, the black dude that's not
Oh yeah, King.
yeah, so they had King the Conqueror was supposed to be the next Thanos, but because he got into legal trouble, they kind of just ended that storyline. So
Mhm.
now I felt like that threw like a wrench in the engine, and now they're kind of scrambling, which I think is why they have Doctor Doom coming out to
Yeah.
be like the common foe. But I feel like it's all mixed up, man, because they have all these multiverses. So it's like, who is he going to be a villain of? Like our universe, some other universe that we don't care about? Like is it all the universes going to combine into one, and like everybody has to come through, and we're going to get a lot of the characters back, but not the same characters, like have like an emo like Black Widow or something, like the Spider-Man. Like that would be pretty funny.
It's gonna be Doctor Doom versus Iron Man.
I don't,
They're
well,
gonna
I
they're
mean,
gonna bring
maybe.
back Iron Man to fight the evil Iron Man.
Yeah, and then so like Doctor Doom. So like what's coming next with Marvel is basically we got the Fantastic Four comes out in a couple months. I'm actually really excited to see that. It looks really good. I'm trying not to see any more trailers on it because I don't want it to get spoiled. Other than that, they have the Thunderbolts, which is kind of like the ragtag team of like the outsider people, like they
Like
have
the
like
Suicide Squad. It's sort of like the
yeah,
Suicide Squad of Marvel. Yeah.
yeah, but without like weird mutated things or whatever they have.
Yeah.
But the Thunderbolts actually looked pretty good. I actually thought it was a show, so I was kind of relieved seeing that it's going to be a movie.
Actually, with that in mind, I think they're trying to get away from doing all the shows because I think people are getting fatigued from the shows because they weren't really going anywhere. They didn't really help the franchise. So I think they're focusing back on just getting the movies done because I think everyone's just like, can you please like finish the phases of these movies? So I don't think we're gonna get as many shows. I think they're trying to focus on getting some movies out, which is why we literally have like 3 movies coming out around the same span of time. Whereas before it was like we were getting like 3 shows and then like 1 movie at the end of everything. And that took like 3 years. So now we're
Yeah.
getting 3 movies in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, which is really good. I'm really happy that they're focusing on the movies. And if they do, one show here and there, like they're gonna be able to focus more on that. Like we do have Daredevil coming out, which looks really good. We really liked the Netflix version of Daredevil. It was really good. And so I guess Marvel is saying that you have Daredevil is going to be canon from Netflix. So all those other shows that they had that contained what were the Defenders? I think that was the
Yeah.
name, like Jessica Jones and
Yeah, Luke Cage,
Iron
Jessica
Fist.
Jones,
Yeah.
Iron Fist, yeah.
So
And then
all of those
obviously
are going to
Punisher,
be all those are going to be canon as well. So they're gonna bring all those people back eventually.
which is cool. I'd rather honestly like Disney focus on them for the shows, kind of like how Netflix used to, where it's not really a part of the Avengers. It's just like, hey, like there's other superheroes or other heroes that are in this universe fighting for different reasons. And then you have like the grander scale shit that's happening in the movies. Like I think they do that and then just like focus on smaller characters for the shows. I think that's a good formula. I don't think they need to like intermingle like shows with the movies for some like big like multiverse timeline. I think that's what kind of started fucking everything up.
Yeah, and also having Eternals and having like 20 main characters. I don't remember one name from those 20 people in that movie.
It's no Cersei. because it
Well,
was
I
just
mean,
like, "That's
they
funny, Jon Snow falls in love with Cersei."
yeah, like they had so many people in there. They had like Angelina Jolie and like Selma Hayek and like all these like big name people, but I don't remember their character's name because
Harry
it like there
Styles.
was, yeah, there was no connection, you know, like it was just not enough screen time for everybody, not enough background on them. Like I just didn't care.
Yeah, I agree. Well, segue, like, we can talk about your keyboard, but I think it's a better segue to talk about Marvel Rivals. They added 2 characters to Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the first season, they added Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. I actually thought that they were going to introduce all 4 characters at the beginning of the season, but they staggered them. So now, mid season happened today, Friday, day of recording. So they introduced the Thing and the Human Torch. I did have some time to play it earlier, and I am not good with either one of them.
Maybe because you
They're
need to work on your mouse and keyboard skills.
Nah, I don't. Well, it is that. Like, I'm not really good with like the flying legends. You know, like Iron Man or like what was the other one?
There's like 2 other ones. You got Iron Man, you got, the
The
dude from
Guardian,
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Star Lord.
Star-Lord, yeah, yeah, and there's another flying character, I thought. Or maybe I'm just confusing for Spider-Man, just flies all over the fucking map. He's basically a
Yeah,
flying character.
yeah. So I figured I'm not good with like any of the flying characters because they move so slow.
Mhm.
Especially the Human Torch. He moves really slow and he's super easy to kill from like the Punisher. So other than that, like the Thing came out. He's like a ground and pound. He's a tank.
Bit of a tank character, yeah. Probably similar to, Hulk, I would imagine.
Yeah, so he has the same tag up as the Hulk, where you throw the Wolverine into traffic.
Yeah.
His ult is pretty cool. He kind of just like slams the ground, and the ground is like shaking, and it still deals damage to whoever's like under there, which is pretty cool. But like, I haven't figured out how to jump with him, so it's either like you run, and then you pound the ground, and then you start walking. But I think his mobility is what's kind of hindering me from using him.
Well, also, like, they just introduced him, right? So I'm sure at some point they'll get some nerfs or buffs for certain characters. Because especially when you have a game like that, a hero shooter, where there's so many players at once, uh, balancing becomes very important. So I think, use those characters as much as possible so that you can find their exploits, whether that's like for a benefit or for like non-benefit, and then they'll just end up patching stuff. So that's what's kind of like cool about like always staying up to date with new updates for these kind of games. Is just like anytime they drop new content, you just kind of have to abuse it as much as possible, and that's what makes the game better because the devs will see that and then they'll start doing updates. Although I was surprised to hear, I think one of the like directors of Rivals like stepped down or something like that. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, so what happened is the whole North American crew was laid off.
Damn.
So they're only going with I think it's China.
Yeah.
So they have a crew over there that works on it. So that's all they have now, which
I wonder
sucks
what's that gonna
because
be like, bro. Like,
yeah, like I was watching like Tim the Tatman's stream when he was playing Marvel Rivals, and then he was watching some other person's stream when that news broke,
yeah.
and they were just saying that that whole like I don't there's a certain name for it. Like just everybody on that team got laid off.
That's crazy.
But
I
it's crazy
wonder.
because they have this game that's making millions of dollars that everybody's playing and is addicted to, and then they lay people off. Like that's just
Yeah,
it just screams greed to me.
it does, and I think there's like I hope that doesn't have negative impacts on the game because I feel like you have North America that has a lot of like, the creative responsibility behind Marvel. Like that is kind of that's as American as it gets. Marvel Comics, it's made in America. So not having a North American team that kind of has their hand in the development of that makes me wonder how successful the game's going to be moving forward. So I guess we'll see, bro.
Yeah, we will see.
We shall. So let's talk about
So,
your keyboard, dude. I was trying to segue into your keyboard.
yeah, so I figured out what keyboard I want. It's called the Epo Maker crossed with the Aura 75. It's a very like thocky keyboard, and it has like the knob in the corner. Like it looks really nice.
Cool.
I've watched a lot of videos because for some reason the internet is sending me all those videos, you know, like on TikTok and like Instagram. It's just like ads for it, and
Yeah.
then I sit there and watch them because I'm like, that keyboard looks so nice. I just watch it, and then, you know, scroll a couple more times, and then somebody else is like playing with it, and I'm just like, fuck. So I went on Amazon and I was looking at the prices, and I think they have it for like $70, which isn't bad.
No, that's
um
good. That's good price for like a decent quality keyboard. Like I'm not gonna say it's like the high budget, like a high end keyboard, but if it's anything like the Acco one that I have, or I don't have an Acco. Well, yeah, I have the Epo Maker one at work, but if it's anything like that one, I think you're still gonna be very satisfied with the quality. So, and you got the linear keys, right, or the linear switches?
well, I haven't bought it yet. I'm just
Oh,
looking.
well, okay, so just make sure you get the linear switches that are pre-lubed. They should be factory lubed. I don't know what kind of switches they use. Usually it's Gatoron. Most companies will use Gatoron. They might have their own like proprietary switch because some companies do that. When Epo Maker collabs with different companies, sometimes they'll use like proprietary switches. So do your research on the switch. Make sure it's a linear switch. And see what the gram actuation is, which is like how heavy is it to press. Like usually a typical linear is about like 45 grams. Like a heavier one, which is usually like a more thocky kind of switch, is like a 50 gram. So 45 to 50 gram actuation is kind of what you want in a linear switch. Otherwise, if it's not heavy and it's really light, then you're gonna feel like you just like tap the key like really, really fast. Sometimes I like a little bit, you know, I want a little bit of give or push back when I hit that keystroke. I want it to feel like I want to work out my fingers, you know, like.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I'll send you a link to the one that I want, so that way you can take a look at it and see.
Sweet. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for you to test drive it once you get it.
For sure.
All right.
So yeah, so I think we're pretty good on this one, unless you
Yeah, I
got
think
anything
so.
else to add.
No, I mean we do have more graphics card stuff. I think I want to save that for another episode because we literally have AMD pretty much around the corner now. So we kind of talked about the 5090. 5080 came out last week, and now we got the 5070 Ti, which they all kind of have their own like pros and cons. Like drama alert, mostly cons than pros. But we also have AMD around the corner, which means we might have to dedicate a good chunk of an episode to just the graphics cards because we're kind of at that time of year. So I think we'll hold off on that one for now. I think we're good to call it for this episode. Take us
All
out,
right.
Carlos.
Hope you guys have a good week. My name is Carlos. This is the homie Sean. You guys been watching the Bro Tech Gaming Podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Please like and subscribe. All the links are in the description. Go ahead and give us a follow on those things. And yeah, see you guys next week.
See you guys on the next episode. Deuces.